The world does not shape you. Your beliefs do. You do not rise because of luck, chance, or handouts. You rise because you believe with every fiber of your being that you were made to rise. Every man or woman who ever built an empire, sparked a revolution, or achieved greatness started the same way, with belief. Your belief is not a soft wish. It is a command to your mind. It is the root of every result in your life. If you believe you're average, you will live average. If you believe you're powerful, unstoppable, destined, then mountains will move when you walk. You are not your environment. You are not your past. You are not your failures. You are the product of your belief. What you hold as true in the silence of your mind becomes the reality of your world. The world bends to the dominant thoughts you nurture and feed. Your mind is the battlefield, and belief is the sword. If you let fear plant itself there, it will grow vines that choke your purpose. But if you plant belief, rooted deep in certainty, then storms will come and pass, and you will still stand. Steel sharpens steel. So sharpen your belief daily with intention, with discipline, with hunger. Stop entertaining thoughts that do not serve the vision. You become what you dwell on. If your mind is filled with excuses, doubts, and distractions, then your results will be delayed, diluted, or destroyed. But if your thoughts are forged with conviction, everything you touch turns into progress. Before the world believes in you, you must believe in you. The applause comes after the performance, not before. So don't wait to be validated. Act like the person you intend to become. Speak like them. Move like them. Believe like them now. Because belief does not wait for proof. Belief creates the proof. Every success is born twice, first in the mind, then in reality. If you can't hold the image in your mind, you'll never hold it in your hands. That image must become your obsession. See it when you wake. Speak it when you're tired. Walk toward it when the world is silent and no one's watching. When doubt creeps in, and it will, you don't argue with it. You crush it. You say, not today. I know who I am. I know what I will be. You declare it. You affirm it. Because doubt is a thief. It will rob you blind if you entertain it for even a second. But belief is a builder. And if you let it, it will construct a life beyond imagination. Faith without action is a lie. So act in belief, move with purpose, walk like you're already wearing the crown. Winners act differently, not because they have something you don't, but because they believe something you don't. Their belief fuels a level of action that the average will never match. Most people wait for permission. You don't need permission, you need conviction. You don't need perfect timing, you need relentless belief. You don't need approval. You need courage to believe in the vision when no one else sees it but you. If the belief is strong enough, the how will reveal itself. The people, the tools, the opportunities will emerge, but only for those who believe beyond reason. Belief isn't logical, it's spiritual. It's not found in the eyes of others. It's forged in solitude, through trials, through fire, through silence. Guard your mind. Feed it daily with strength. Speak to yourself like you are becoming the giant you were born to be. Reject the small thinking that infects the masses. You are not made for average. You are made for impact. And belief is the fire that lights that impact. You are always becoming something. Every thought, every word, every action is taking you somewhere. So the question is, what are you becoming? If you don't decide, life will decide for you. And it won't choose greatness unless you force it to. Believe so deeply in your dream that it becomes more real than your current circumstances. Walk in it. Speak from it. Act out of it. Because what you believe, you become, and if you believe it long enough, hard enough, and true enough, nothing on earth can stop you. Belief is the foundation of all achievement. Without belief, talent is wasted, plans are abandoned, and potential dies in silence. Everything you desire, success, power, freedom, greatness, begins as a thought, but it becomes real only when it's wrapped in unshakable belief. You cannot build anything great on doubt. You cannot conquer anything meaningful while questioning your own worth. Belief is not optional. It is essential. It is the root system of every strong tree, the bedrock beneath every empire. Those who win at the highest levels do not win because they were lucky. They win because they believed before there was any reason to. You can have the perfect strategy, the sharpest mind, the strongest body, but if you do not believe in yourself, none of it will matter. Your belief is the spark that ignites your mind and sets your actions on fire. It drives your choices, your words, your pace, your energy. When you believe with certainty, you walk different. You talk different. You fight longer. You stand taller. You don't hesitate. You don't flinch. You move with purpose because you already see the victory before it happens. The belief becomes your internal prophecy, and your actions fulfill it. You will never outperform the image you hold of yourself. You can only rise to the level of your belief. That is why some people stay stuck for years, not because they lack the tools, but because they lack the conviction. They are surrounded by possibilities, but poisoned by doubt. They wait for conditions to be perfect, for people to cheer them on, for the fear to go away. But the truth is, belief is what makes conditions irrelevant. When you believe, you find a way. When you doubt, you find an excuse. There is no neutral ground. Your mind is fertile soil. What you plant there will grow. Plant belief, and you will reap strength. Plant doubt, and you will harvest regret. The thoughts you repeat become your belief system, and that system becomes your destiny. If you feed your mind with thoughts of greatness, of resilience, of victory, you will build an inner world that cannot be shaken. But if you let fear whisper its lies, if you entertain the idea that you're not enough, then that seed will grow too, and it will rob you of everything you could have become. Everything you achieve starts with a thought you refuse to let go of. A thought that said, I can, I must, I will. That's belief. It doesn't beg for proof. It doesn't wait for reassurance. It stands alone if it has to, because it sees what others can't yet see. The world is filled with noise. People will doubt you, distract you, delay you, but if your belief is strong enough, none of it matters. You must believe even when you're tired. You must believe when the results are not yet visible. You must believe when you're the only one left clapping for yourself. The future belongs to those who believe in it with absolute clarity. Not halfway, not conditionally, total belief. They see their goal so vividly in their mind that it becomes real before anyone else notices. Their thoughts become commands, and their actions become evidence. That's how champions are built, on belief that turns invisible visions into undeniable reality. Belief backed by action is the most powerful force on earth. It's stronger than talent, louder than fear, and more persistent than failure. It will carry you through rejection, through defeat, through doubt, because it holds the vision steady even when everything around you shakes. And you must protect your belief like a treasure. Do not share your dream with small minds. Do not explain your vision to people who cannot see beyond their own limits. This world will try to shrink you. It will try to put you in a box. But your belief is what breaks those walls. Your belief is what tells the world, I decide who I am. I decide where I go. I decide what I become. No one else holds that power unless you give it away. Hold your belief like a sword. Wield it daily. Strengthen it hourly. Protect it with discipline. Feed it with focus. You were not put here to play small. You were not meant to blend in. You were born with purpose, born with vision, born to lead. But none of that will happen if you don't first believe it. People do not rise by accident. They rise because something deep inside refuses to settle. They rise because belief burned hotter than comfort. They rose because the fire in them became impossible to ignore. That is the kind of belief you need. Unshakable, untouchable, unbreakable. The kind of belief that says, I will keep moving even if I have to crawl. I will keep building even if I'm alone. I will keep becoming even if no one notices. There is a warrior in you waiting to be unleashed. But it will never show itself until you believe it's there. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you expect. And if you expect average, you'll get average. If you expect excellence, and you back that expectation with action, persistence, and faith, then excellence will bow to you. Every great life begins with belief. Every transformation starts in the mind. You are not limited by your past. You are not trapped by your circumstances. You are only limited by the boundaries of your own belief. So break those boundaries, rip them out by the root. Stand tall and speak your vision. Act like it's already yours. Move like the door is already open. Speak like the world is already listening. Because what you believe, you become, and when you believe without limits, you become unlimited. Your dominant thoughts shape your identity. They are not just passing ideas, they are the builders of your future, the architects of your habits, the sculptors of your destiny. Whatever you think about most, whatever you dwell on, repeat, and focus on, that becomes the framework of who you are. You do not rise above the level of your thoughts. You cannot create success while thinking failure. You cannot speak victory while feeding your mind defeat. The thoughts you entertain today become the behaviors you live tomorrow. They are not random. They are not harmless. They are powerful, precise, and predictive. Your life always moves in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. Look closely at your habits, your speech, your decisions. They are all reflections of what you've allowed to dominate your thinking. If you constantly think small, you'll act small. If you repeat thoughts of fear, doubt, and weakness, those things will find their way into your character. But if you feed your mind with thoughts of strength, certainty, and purpose, your identity begins to shift. This is not theory. It is law. The world will always mirror back to you what you believe about yourself deep down. You can't fake it. You can't hide from it. If your thoughts are scattered, so will your life be. But when your thoughts are clear, consistent, and charged with belief, you become unstoppable. You cannot escape your own mind. You take it everywhere you go. You carry it into your relationships, into your work, into every decision. That's why your first responsibility every day is to command your thoughts. Direct them, discipline them. You don't let weeds grow in a garden you care about, so don't let weak thoughts grow in a mind you're building a life from. You must treat your thoughts with urgency and seriousness. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they never control their thinking. Their identity is shaped by thoughts they never questioned, by lies they never challenged, by limits they never broke. Repetition is power. If you tell yourself every day that you're tired, that you're stuck, that you're behind, those words will become chains around your mind. But if you train yourself to speak greatness, to think possibility, to declare progress, you will start becoming the person your thoughts are shaping. It doesn't matter what the past says. It doesn't matter what the crowd thinks. The only thing that matters is what you allow to dominate your thinking from this moment forward. And from this moment forward, your mind must become a place of vision, of clarity, of power. You cannot afford mental clutter. You cannot afford mental poison. You cannot afford to think like the average if you plan to live above average. Every time you choose a powerful thought over a weak one, you take another step toward the future you desire. That is how you build momentum, not all at once, but one disciplined thought at a time. You start catching yourself. You stop saying, "I can't." You replace it with, "I will." You stop thinking about what could go wrong. You focus on what must go right. You don't entertain failure as an identity. You treat it as a moment, not a definition. That shift in thinking, that discipline in direction, is what separates those who dream from those who do. The strongest people you know are not fearless. They are just focused. They have trained their minds to ignore the noise and zero in on their goals. They think deliberately. They speak with intention. They guard their minds like a vault. That is how identity is forged, by building mental habits that reinforce strength, clarity, and certainty. You are not born confident. You are not born disciplined. You build those traits by thinking like the person you want to become, long before the results show up. You build them by refusing to let your current reality dictate your future identity. You become what you think about most, not occasionally, not once in a while, but what you obsess over, what you replay, what you fix your eyes on. Those thoughts become the bricks that build your character. And if you're constantly thinking that you're behind, broken, or unworthy, you will find ways to sabotage your progress to match that identity. But if you start thinking like a leader, thinking like a champion, thinking like someone who gets up no matter how hard they fall, then that's exactly who you will become. It's not a trick. It's not magic. It's mental discipline. It's focus. The question you must ask yourself every day is, what thoughts am I feeding? What identity am I reinforcing? Because your actions are not random. Your choices are not detached. They are the echo of your thoughts. If you want to change your life, You must first change the way you think about who you are and what you're capable of. You cannot wait until you feel confident. You must think confidently first, act boldly second, and let the identity catch up with the repetition. That's how transformation begins. That's how legacies are written. Train your thoughts like your life depends on it, because it does. Every moment you let doubt, fear, or laziness dominate your thinking, you are reinforcing a version of yourself that keeps you stuck. But every time you override that with a powerful thought, you begin building a new version, stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. Don't let your thoughts drift like leaves in the wind. Command them, direct them, shape them with clarity and fire, because the one who controls their thoughts controls their identity, and the one who controls their identity controls their future. The mind responds to conviction, not wishful thinking. It does not move for hesitation. It does not activate for doubt. It only follows orders spoken with certainty, backed by action, sealed in unwavering belief. You cannot whisper a dream and expect the world to listen. You must command it with force, live it with fire, move toward it like it's already yours. That is the difference between those who wish and those who achieve. A wish waits. Conviction moves. A wish hopes someone else will make it happen. Conviction knows it's up to you or it won't happen at all. The mind is a servant to your dominant emotion. If that emotion is fear, you'll move in fear. If it's confusion, you'll stall. But if that emotion is conviction, everything inside you starts to organize itself to fulfill that belief. Ideas flow, energy rises, courage appears. The problem is, most people live their entire lives stuck in hesitation, waiting for a sign, waiting for the perfect moment, and all the while their mind remains idle because it is being fed uncertainty instead of command. You don't motivate the mind by hoping. You command the mind by deciding. When you speak your vision with conviction, you ignite the deepest part of your brain. You engage your imagination, you trigger your focus, you awaken your drive. But when you merely wish, your words have no power. Your intent has no backbone. Your direction has no compass. And without that force behind your thoughts, you drift. That's how potential is wasted, by people who have ideas but no fire, goals but no grit, dreams but no demand. Conviction is what separates dreamers from doers. It is the internal declaration that says, "This will be no matter what." Conviction is not arrogance, it is clarity. It is the disciplined decision to back your vision with everything you have and refuse to surrender it just because results haven't shown up yet. You move as if it's real, and eventually it becomes real, but only for those who walk forward even when the evidence is missing. The mind obeys the voice that speaks the loudest and the longest. If that voice is soft, fearful, and filled with hesitation, your mind will sit down. If that voice is firm, determined, and grounded in certainty, your mind will rise to meet the challenge. Everything you've ever done with strength, you did because you were convinced it mattered. You didn't wait for a guarantee. You didn't pause to get approval. You just moved. That's conviction. It's the belief that now is the time and I am the one. People who move the world do not wait for permission. They move with authority. They speak as if the result is already theirs. They act while others are still deciding. That is why they win. That is why they lead. They give their mind one clear command, and then they go all in without looking back. Your mind is a weapon, but only when pointed with purpose. Conviction is the trigger. Without it, the weapon stays cold. Without it, your efforts remain inconsistent, your focus scattered, your willpower fragile. But once conviction enters, everything tightens. Your decisions become faster. Your distractions fade. Your urgency increases. That's when your habits start to shift, because now you're no longer interested in what's easy. You're obsessed with what's necessary. You're no longer looking for comfort. You're chasing growth. That is the kind of thinking that builds empires and crushes obstacles. You cannot negotiate with your mind from a place of weakness. You must instruct it with certainty. Every day you wake up and decide, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, and nothing will stop me. You don't debate it, you don't ask for confirmation, you don't let the outside world distract your internal truth. Conviction isn't loud. It's not about shouting your goals. It's about silently working until the results speak louder than you ever could. The people with conviction aren't wasting time proving their value. They're too busy creating it. Don't ask the world for success. Demand it from yourself. Don't look for signs. Be the sign. Conviction is the energy that builds momentum. You can't access that power with halfway thoughts or partial effort. You have to go all in. You have to move when it's inconvenient, act when it's uncomfortable, show up when no one else does. Conviction doesn't bend to mood. It doesn't bow to fear. It's a decision that doesn't get renegotiated just because the journey got hard. That's the level of mental discipline that separates the few who rise from the many who remain stuck. The moment you decide with absolute clarity, the mind responds. It sharpens. It focuses. It fights. It finds a way. Because now, the message is clear. There is no alternative. There is no retreat. There is only forward. And when your mind receives that kind of order, it will unlock strength you didn't know you had. But only if you give it conviction. Only if you remove the back door. Only if you stop living in maybe and start living in must. Wishes change with the weather. Conviction cuts through storms. And the one who speaks with conviction shapes the world in their image. You must see it within before it manifests without. No one has ever achieved greatness by waiting to see results before they believed. The vision starts in the mind long before it shows up in the world. You cannot plant doubt and expect to harvest victory. You cannot carry uncertainty and expect clarity to greet you. You must build the image of your success so vividly in your mind that the outside world has no choice but to reflect it. The mind is not a mirror of your environment. It is the projector of your destiny. You are not reacting to life. You are creating it, starting with what you see within. The ones who rise, the ones who dominate, the ones who stand above the rest, they all had one thing in common. They saw it first. They lived it in silence before anyone clapped. They walked like it was already done before anyone noticed. They felt the strength, the success, the fire before they had a single sign from the outside. That's power. That's mastery. That's the law. You do not wait to believe. You believe and then the world bends. You must carry the image of the result with such intensity that your actions begin to align with it automatically. Your mind is the control center. It directs your emotions, your decisions, your patterns. And when your internal image is weak, blurry, or inconsistent, your life follows that same pattern. That's why so many stay stuck. They focus on their current condition instead of their future vision. They look at the bank account, the struggle, the noise, and they let that image define them. But the few who break through, the ones who rise, they ignore the present reality and fix their eyes on the future they've already built in their mind. They know the world will catch up, but only if they never let go of the vision. You don't get what you want. You get what you're certain about. Wanting something is not enough. Wishing is not enough. The world responds to identity, not desperation. If you walk like a winner, if you think like a giant, if you feel like a leader, your energy changes, your language changes, your intensity rises, and the world takes notice. But that identity must be formed in silence. It must be shaped through repetition. It must be installed before the evidence arrives. If you wait to believe until you see results, you'll never see anything. Because belief is not the result of success. Belief is the cause of it. Most people sabotage themselves not because they lack talent, but because they never saw themselves becoming more. They live on autopilot, trapped by past patterns and present doubts. They wake up every day reacting instead of creating. But the winners, they wake up and see it clearly. They rehearse the win. They feel the breakthrough. They visualize the discipline. And that inner world gives birth to external dominance. You must see the habits, the routine, the mindset before they become automatic. You must feel the success before it becomes physical. That is not fantasy, that is strategy. Every powerful person you admire, every empire that exists, every breakthrough that changed history started as a vision. Not just an idea, but a burning inner reality. A picture so strong it demanded to become physical. They didn't hope it would happen. They saw it happening. They felt it with intensity. They obsessed over it until the outside had to match the inside. That is your responsibility, to create that inner vision with such clarity and emotion that your thoughts, choices, and energy begin to evolve in real time. You are not becoming something new. You are uncovering what was always there. You will not outperform the image you hold in your mind. If you see yourself as average, you will act in ways that protect that belief. If you see yourself as powerful, you will start moving like someone with purpose. The image is the root. Action is the fruit. You cannot fake identity for long. It always returns to the picture you carry within. That's why you must protect that vision. Feed it, strengthen it, repeat it, until it becomes your standard, not your goal. Until it becomes who you are, not what you chase. Until you no longer doubt it, even when no one else sees it. Train your mind to see it first. Feel the discipline, the power, the transformation before it arrives. Live from the place of certainty, not from the noise of doubt. When the world tells you it's not possible, return to your vision. When your emotions shake, hold the image steady. The storm will come, the critics will speak, the results may delay, but the one who sees clearly within will never lose direction. Most people quit because they can't hold the image long enough. They get distracted, they get discouraged. But the one who holds the vision walks with power. See it before it's visible. Own it before it's yours. Speak it before it echoes. That is the path of the builder, the leader, the champion. Do not ask if it's possible. Decide that it's done. The world doesn't need your doubt. It needs your decision. You're not waiting for a breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. You're not hoping for strength. You're becoming it. And it all begins with what you see within. Because once you see it in your mind with total clarity, with total conviction, with total certainty, it's only a matter of time before the world reflects it back to you. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure is loud, visible, and often teaches you something useful. Doubt, on the other hand, is silent. It whispers. It delays action. It drains your energy before you even begin. Doubt doesn't have to stop you. It just needs to slow you down long enough for hesitation to take root. And once hesitation takes root, the dream starts to die. Not because it wasn't possible, but because belief wasn't strong enough to carry it through. The graveyard is full of ideas that never lived. Not because they lacked potential, but because someone doubted themselves before the world ever had a chance to see what they could or do. Doubt is the enemy within. It doesn't need facts. It feeds on fear. It turns every opportunity into a problem, every challenge into a crisis. It makes you question your own ability, even when there's no evidence against you. The real danger is not outside rejection, it's internal hesitation. The world won't believe in someone who doesn't believe in themselves. You can have all the talent, all the resources, all the opportunity, but if doubt is stronger than your faith in yourself, you will fall short every single time. Not because you couldn't, but because you didn't. The mind follows whatever thought is most consistent. If you feed it doubt, it will protect you from risk. It will build excuses, invent reasons, and create distractions that feel real. That's how dreams die, by death through distraction. Not by external rejection, but by internal retreat. When you doubt, you shrink. When you doubt, you settle. When you doubt, you start living a life that's smaller than your potential. And worst of all, you convince yourself that it's okay, that it's safe, that you never really wanted it anyway. That's the lie doubt sells, and too many buy it. But when belief enters, everything changes. Not belief in the process, not belief in the world, belief in yourself. That no matter what comes, you will figure it out. That even if you fall, you rise faster. That you were not born to blend in, you were born to build, to rise, to dominate. That kind of belief is not emotional, it's a decision. You decide to back yourself. You decide that your vision is stronger than your fear. You decide that you will not let your life be shaped by what-ifs and maybe-laters, because belief moves fast, doubt delays, and delay is the death of momentum. Look around at the people who never started. Listen to those who always talk but never act. They're all prisoners of doubt. They're not lazy. They're not incapable. They've just let the voice of doubt speak louder than the voice of purpose, and every time you listen to that voice, you reinforce it. You give it more ground. But every time you override it with action, you weaken it. That is the battle you fight every day, between the voice that says maybe not, and the one that says move anyway. Victory belongs to the one who moves anyway. Doubt waits for proof. Belief moves with purpose. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll never act. If you wait until everything makes sense, you'll never start. You must move before the answers come. You must act before the emotions line up. That's what separates the great from the average. They move through the doubt. They don't need a perfect plan. They need a powerful reason. And when the reason is strong enough, action becomes natural. That's how confidence is built, not by waiting, but by doing. Not by thinking, but by proving it to yourself one step at a time. The truth is, you will fail. You will fall short. You will face setbacks. But none of that will ever destroy your dream. Only doubt can do that. Doubt is what makes you walk away too soon. Doubt is what makes you question yourself instead of pushing forward. But if you kill the doubt early, if you refuse to negotiate with it, if you decide that your future matters more than your fear, then even your failures become fuel. Even your losses become lessons. Even your pain becomes power. But only when you silence doubt and let belief take the lead. Stop waiting for signs. Stop asking for reassurance. The world responds to conviction, not confusion. Speak like you're sure. Act like it's done. Walk like it's yours. Because if you don't back yourself, no one else will. Doubt is a thief. It steals time, opportunity, and confidence. But belief is a builder. It builds habits. It builds strength. It builds the identity you need to lead, win, and leave a mark. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be committed. You don't need to know how. It's enough to know why. The how always shows up for the one who refuses to stop. You have a choice every single day, to feed the doubt or to starve it, to stand still or to rise, to stay in the comfort zone or to step into greatness. There is no neutral ground. Every thought, every decision, every move is taking you closer to the dream or further away. And if you truly want it, if the vision matters to you more than your fear, then act like it. Speak like it, move like it. Because failure will test you, but doubt will destroy you if you let it. And the only way to win is to stop listening to it once and for all. Belief backed by purpose creates unstoppable force. Belief alone can move you, but belief with purpose turns you into a weapon. It's the combination of inner certainty and outer direction that separates the ordinary from the legendary. When you know who you are and why you're doing it, there's no hesitation. There's no confusion. There's no quitting. You don't pause when it gets hard. You don't look for escape when it gets uncomfortable. You become relentless because your mission is no longer a desire. It's a duty. The fire within is not just about achieving something. It's about fulfilling something. That kind of power cannot be shaken. When your belief is shallow, the wind of resistance will knock you down. But when your belief is deep and rooted in purpose, storms don't scare you. Setbacks don't slow you. The noise of the world gets ignored because your inner voice speaks louder. That's the voice of someone who isn't looking for permission. That's the voice of someone who's already decided. And when you've decided, you don't negotiate with fear. You don't delay. You move with certainty because you know exactly what you're building and why it matters. That is the kind of force the world cannot stop. Purpose gives direction. Belief gives fuel. When they work together, you don't need motivation. You have movement. You don't wait for inspiration. You become it. This is where most people fall short. They believe, but they have no mission. Or they have a goal, but no belief in themselves. And that creates internal conflict. But when you believe, and that belief is anchored in something greater than yourself, you unlock a level of energy that doesn't burn out. You're not just chasing success. You're executing destiny. That's why you keep showing up. That's why you push harder than most. Because you're not doing this for applause. You're doing this for impact. You cannot be stopped by external resistance when your internal reason is stronger. You'll face setbacks, you'll face doubt, you'll face delay, but you'll never stop because belief backed by purpose is not a feeling, it's a force. Purpose turns belief into something sacred. It becomes more than just I think I can. It becomes I must. And when your mission becomes non-negotiable, you eliminate the option of failure. It's not even in the conversation. You'll go over it, under it, around it, whatever it takes. But you will never walk away, because your purpose won't let you. This is how the greatest are made, not by talent alone, not by luck, but by a level of internal fire that doesn't flicker in the wind. They know what they stand for. They know what they're building, and they're willing to bleed for it. That kind of person doesn't get distracted. They don't break under pressure. They bend reality to their will because they've already won the battle inside. Their belief is armor. Their purpose is fuel. And when you combine the two, you become immune to excuses, immune to failure. You become dangerous to every limitation you once believed in. Every time you get tired, return to your purpose. Every time doubt creeps in, remind yourself why you started. Every time the world tells you it's too hard, too late, too far, double down, push harder, dig deeper. Because the moment you let your purpose drive your steps and your belief fuel those steps, there's not a wall high enough to hold you back. You don't get shaken when results are delayed. You don't get soft when challenges rise. You get sharper, you get more focused. You get louder in your execution and quieter in your doubt. Because now you're not chasing, you're claiming. There's a different energy in someone who walks with purpose. They don't explain themselves, they don't look for validation. They know who they are and where they're going. They speak with intention. They move with discipline. They fight with conviction. And that is what makes them unstoppable. It's not magic, it's alignment. When your belief lines up with your mission, you become untouchable. Not because life is easy, but because your fire never goes out. The outside world becomes irrelevant when the inside world is solid. That's the foundation of every breakthrough, every legacy, every triumph. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be certain. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a powerful reason. The plan will evolve. The path may shift. But if the belief stays strong and the purpose stays clear, you will not lose. You'll adapt. You'll adjust. You'll overcome. The moment you stop needing proof from the world and start trusting your own inner direction, you'll walk differently. You'll talk differently. You'll lead differently. Because belief is what starts the engine. Purpose is what keeps it running when the world tries to slow you down. This isn't about motivation anymore. It's about mission. It's about stepping into the identity of the one who finishes what they start, who moves when others doubt, who stays the course when others quit. That's what belief backed by purpose does. It transforms a person from a dreamer to a force. It eliminates hesitation. It erases excuses. It demands growth, demands strength, demands courage. You don't wait for the right moment. You declare it. You don't look for guarantees. You become one. That's the fire the world needs. That's the force that builds legacies. And that's exactly what you were born to become. Success is first earned in the imagination. Every great achievement, every towering empire, every transformation begins in the mind before it touches reality. The world you walk through today was built by someone who imagined it first. It's not a slogan, it's not poetry, it's truth. The mind creates before the hands construct. You don't build on chance, you build on vision. You don't reach the top by accident, you see it, you own it, you live it in your imagination long before the world applauds. That mental picture, that crystal clear vision of success, is the birthplace of every victory that matters. The imagination is not a playground, it's a workshop. It's where the blueprint of your future is drawn in detail. And if your imagination is weak, your future is blurry. If you don't see it with precision, you won't move with power. You must earn success in your mind with such intensity that it feels real before it arrives. That's how champions move. That's how builders rise. They've already been where they're going. They've walked through the result in their minds so many times that when it finally appears, it's just confirmation. It's not new. It's already theirs. The difference between those who win and those who wish is simple. One imagines with faith, the other imagines with doubt. One builds vision, the other builds worry. Both use the same tool, but only one gets results. You can't afford to imagine defeat and expect to experience triumph. The mind doesn't filter. What you feed it, it multiplies. If you picture failure, you begin moving toward it without realizing. If you picture strength, excellence, and breakthrough, your actions start aligning with those outcomes. The mind doesn't care if it's real or imagined. It responds to what you believe with emotion and repetition. You must see yourself as successful before you are. You must walk, talk, think, move, breathe like the person who already possesses what you're after. That's not pretending. That's training. The world doesn't shape you. You shape the world through the identity you carry inside. Every single breakthrough you're waiting for already exists in your imagination. But it won't become real until you claim it with conviction, until you obsess over it, study it, feel it, and build it within before you ever expect to hold it in your hands. Imagination without belief is fantasy. Imagination with belief is strategy. Most people sabotage themselves because they only imagine what could go wrong. They live in the prison of past pain and future fear. They visualize struggle, failure, embarrassment, and then wonder why they feel stuck. You are not stuck. You're undisciplined in your imagination. You've allowed negativity to build the picture of your life, and your subconscious is just following the instructions. But you can change that right now. You can decide to imagine something greater, something bold, something so aligned with who you really are that the old version of you begins to disappear with every passing day. If you want to lead, to dominate, to rise above your current level, you must develop the skill of controlled imagination. That means you deliberately see yourself speaking with power, moving with confidence, executing with discipline, winning with precision. You rehearse the victory in your mind over and over again until doubt has no room to speak. This isn't just dreaming, it's constructing. The mind becomes your arena, your gym, your laboratory. You train there before the world sees you. And when the moment comes to act, it's not pressure, it's familiar. Because you've already won in your imagination. The reason so many people hesitate is because they haven't won mentally. They haven't seen it clearly enough. They step forward with uncertainty, and uncertainty gets punished. But the one who sees it with clarity, the one who's felt it 1,000 times before the crowd shows up, that person walks in prepared. They don't need to psych themselves up. They already believe. They already know. They've done it in the dark. They've done it in silence. They've built the outcome with intensity and detail. So when it shows up, it feels natural. That's how you earn success before you live it. You are not limited by your current conditions. You are limited by the images you accept in your mind. Change the picture and you change the path. See further and you move faster. Success is not about luck. It's not about waiting. It's about creation. And the first creation always happens in thought. So sharpen your vision. See the result so clearly that it becomes more real than your excuses. Walk through the experience in your mind until your actions are forced to catch up. Let the imagination lead, and the body will follow. Let the vision dominate, and the doubts will fade. You don't need the world to confirm it. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You need imagination with intent. You need belief with fire. You need repetition with emotion. That is the formula. That is the power. Because once you earn success in your imagination, when you've held it, lived it, walked through it in vivid detail, you've already won. The world is just catching up. The stage is just waiting. And when it arrives, you won't hesitate, because you've been there long before the world even noticed. You imagined it, you believed it, and now you're ready to own it. What you believe consistently, you will live consistently. Not occasionally, not once in a while. Every single day, your outer world will begin to mirror the story you accept in your mind. Belief is not passive, it's the architect of your behavior. It shapes your habits, controls your decisions, and filters your perception. If you consistently believe you're meant for greatness, you'll start to move like it. If you consistently believe you're average, you'll settle for it. It's not magic, it's mental law. What dominates your belief system controls the direction of your life. You don't rise to the level of your intentions, you fall to the level of your identity. That identity is formed by belief repeated with conviction. Every action you take is rooted in one thing, what you think is true about yourself. And the dangerous thing? Most people are living out a lie. They believe they're not ready, not enough, not capable, and because they believe it often enough, it becomes their reality. But the belief didn't come from truth, it came from repetition, which means it can be rewritten, it can be rebuilt. But only by choosing to believe something stronger and feeding it with discipline. The mind is a loyal servant. It does not choose what is right, it chooses what is repeated. So if you constantly tell yourself you're a failure, the mind accepts it and begins organizing your life to match that belief. If you constantly declare you are resilient, the mind responds by filtering challenges as growth opportunities. This is not fantasy. This is how the subconscious works. It obeys the dominant thought. It enforces consistency. That's why belief must be guarded. You don't allow doubt to camp in your mind. You don't entertain weakness as a joke, because what you repeat, you reinforce. And what you reinforce, you live. Every belief you hold is a seed, and seeds don't stay hidden. They grow. They become habits, patterns, attitudes, reactions. So ask yourself, what are you planting daily? Are you planting discipline or procrastination? Are you planting courage or fear? Are you rehearsing your future or reliving your past? Because the life you build is never stronger than the belief you repeat. If you want to change your world, change the thoughts you allow to dominate. Don't let negative belief systems take root just because they feel familiar. Familiar doesn't mean true, it just means rehearsed. You've got to be ruthless about what you believe. If it doesn't empower you, erase it. If it doesn't challenge you to grow, replace it. Don't cling to limitations and call them reality. They're not real until you live them, and you only live them if you keep believing them. So stop repeating the story that says you can't. Stop reinforcing the identity that keeps you small. Start feeding the vision of who you were created to become. Speak it until your subconscious obeys. Picture it until your body aligns. Act like it until it becomes normal. Belief isn't just about positivity, it's about control. Whoever controls your belief controls your future. If you let fear control it, fear will dictate your moves. If you let excuses control it, you'll sabotage yourself at every opportunity. But if you decide that your belief will serve your vision, you take back the power. You become the one who sets the standard. Not your past, not your mistakes, not your critics, just you. Because belief backed by repetition rewires your mind, reshapes your emotions, and rebuilds your reality. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you expect. And your expectations are the product of what you believe consistently. So if you expect to win, expect to grow, expect to dominate, and that belief is reinforced daily, then the actions that follow will move in alignment. You'll start showing up like the person you already see in your mind. You won't be waiting for opportunity. You'll be building it. You won't be chasing success. You'll be attracting it because your identity will be magnetic. Confidence is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the result of belief lived out consistently. But the opposite is also true. If you believe you're not worthy, not good enough, not ready, you will make choices that validate that belief. You'll hide when you should speak. You'll hesitate when you should move. You'll downplay your strengths and magnify your weaknesses, not because it's true, but because it fits the script your mind has memorized. And unless you rewrite that script with intention, you'll stay trapped in a life that doesn't reflect your true potential. Not because you were incapable, but because you believed something false long enough for it to feel like fact. So you need to interrupt the cycle. Break the mental loop that's been feeding mediocrity. Every morning, declare the truth about who you are becoming. Every challenge, reframe it as a proving ground. Every setback, treat it as feedback, not failure. You can't control every event, but you can control the belief you attach to it. And once your belief is solid, your actions follow. You become consistent, not just motivated. You become disciplined, not just excited. You live in alignment with your vision, not your fears. That's the power of belief lived daily. This is not about hype. This is about identity. And identity is always built through belief. What you believe consistently, you will live consistently. Choose wisely. Guard relentlessly. Speak boldly. Because the world isn't waiting for your potential, it's waiting for your certainty. So decide now what you will believe, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, right now, because the life ahead of you will only rise as high as the standards you set in your mind. Refuse to let old doubts write the next chapter. Refuse to let fear disguise itself as realism. Refuse to let the weight of your past blind you to the power of your future. Build belief like a fortress. Layer it with repetition, fuel it with purpose, and protect it with discipline. What you believe consistently, you will live consistently. That's not a possibility. It's a law. So stand in it. Speak from it. Move through life as if it's already yours. Because once the belief is unshakable, the result becomes inevitable.